Hey guys, so I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I should whip one up, and today I'm going to just be doing a little vlog about the easy peasy way to start investing. I've had a lot of people ask me, oh, how can I get started? How can I invest without putting in a lot of effort? I've put together like a 3-step plan to get you started. I'll just, preface this by saying it does take a bit of startup effort. To just start investing, it takes like a bit of just learning how it all works, and then getting the money and investing it and buying the shares. But then after that effort, that initial effort, you can just completely forget about it and just let it go. And that's a fantastic way to invest. Compounding your returns over like years and years and years is the best way to make a lot of money. First thing I'm going to go into is just a few definitions. I'm just going to explain a few things that you really need to know. The first thing I want to describe to you guys is what a benchmark is. A benchmark is a way to measure the performance of a group of companies. So you may have heard of things like the ASX 200 or the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones. You may have heard these words thrown around but not really understand what they mean. I'll use the ASX 200 as an example. The ASX 200 is just a benchmark that tracks the overall performance of the share prices of the top 200 companies on the Australian exchange, the Australian Stock Exchange. That might be a lot to take in. And if you don't understand it, feel free to Google it and look up, what that all, feel to Google it and just, read the definition a few times if you don't get it on your first try, which is, perfectly understandable. It took me a little while to learn all this stuff. So I'll say it again. It is a benchmark. It is a measurement, a way to track the performance of the share prices of the 200 biggest companies in Australia, and it's different per benchmark. So the ASX 300 is a benchmark of the 300 biggest Australian stocks on the Australian Stock Exchange, and something like the S&P 500 is the Standard & Poor's 500 is a measurement of the 500 biggest stocks on the American Stock Exchange, whether that be the NASDAQ Stock Exchange or the New York Stock Exchange. And if you're not, fully with me at this point in time, that's all right. You don't really need to, 100% understand exactly what I'm talking about, but just get a basic idea of what I mean by benchmark. You really need to understand what that is. But number 2, I'm going to explain what an exchange traded fund is, commonly referred to as an ETF. ETFs are sort of like companies that are listed on the stock exchange. You can buy shares in ETFs on the stock exchange, buy shares of an ETF, of an exchange traded fund, that will then use your money to invest in other companies. Sort of like, a business, but not really. It's an ETF is run by a company. A company like Vanguard will set up an ETF and then list it on an exchange, and then investors can buy shares in the ETF. And if you're not, it's a lot to take in, so, go back, rewatch what I just said, or maybe look it up on Google, or have a look at some of the other videos on YouTube. There are some really cool videos on here that really helped me understand what all these terms mean, because it is a lot, and it is hard to understand if you haven't heard anything like this ever before. So that's okay to be confused. We're going to get to part 3 of the video, and the reason why I explained what, and part 3 is a combination of 1 and 2. So basically it's the reason why I even told you about what benchmarks are and why I explained what ETFs are. There's these things called index ETFs. You may be able to guess what they do if you understand what the other terms are. It's just an exchange traded fund that tracks a benchmark. So there are exchange traded funds that track the ASX 200. that the returns will just mirror that of the market, you know, and there are heaps of these funds out there. Some track the S&P 500, and there are other things that just track international shares in general, like Asian shares, European shares, emerging markets shares, there's ETFs, I could go on forever. There's a lot of options out there. So those ETFs that track the returns of the S&P 500, these are what you should invest in. These are great investments. Warren Buffett himself even recommends them. These are not like short-term trading sort of things. These are places where you buy shares in this fund and you're set. Like you ignore it, or better yet, like after you buy that initial set of shares, you just continue to live your life for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And you don't have to track it, you don't have to worry about it. The returns say that on average you'll get about 7 to 8% return on your money, and if you just let it compound and compound over time, you'll be doing very well after 30, 40, 50 years if you've just, you know, left it untouched. Even better is if you keep adding to it. So you just reinvest your dividends, because like a company, exchange traded funds will pay out a small dividend. If you just set it up as a DRIP, which is DRP, which is dividend reinvestment plan, you set that up, that means you never see the money just automatically reinvesting. And what I would recommend you guys do as well is set aside money every month, every 6 months, whatever you want to do, and add more money, buy more shares of that ETF on whatever frequency you want to. So it's really the easiest and probably next to the best way to invest. And it's the way I would recommend my family to invest. It's the way I'd recommend my friends to invest. And if you guys, you know, just didn't really follow on, still have some sort of questions, or you want to know what ETFs I would recommend, please just leave a comment down below. I'll be sure to answer them. I've got a few, you know, really positive comments on my last videos, so thanks for that, guys. It's really cool to read your messages. You really like encouraged me to film this video, because I kind of fell off a bit there. So, yeah, thanks. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for me. So, yeah, that'll do it for me. Thanks for watching. If you are new to this video, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos like this. Hopefully, I'll be doing more vlogs like this, just talking about stuff, just talking about money, just talking about finance, just talking about investing. So, yeah, if you liked it, subscribe. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.